Reminiscent of a championship boxing match, the November 9 entered the Penn and Teller Theater at the Rio to a packed house of screaming fans. The biggest night in poker is about to begin. The moment has arrived. The players have arrived. The November 9 is set, but only one will take home $9 million. Yes! Will it be the pro playing for his father, or the amateur who rarely plays the game?
I would be the most inexperienced champion ever, but I would still be the champion.
Will it be one of the young Americans, or the combustible character from overseas?
Wait until you see what I do when I win.
Will it be the Canadian who's finally found his place, or the adrenaline junkie who sits atop the leaderboard?
I'm the chip leader. I'm fearless. I'm ready.
Or will Michael Mizrachi do something no one ever thought possible? 3 titles at the World Series are coveted above all else. Every poker player hopes to capture just one. The truly elite dream of winning all 3 in their lifetime. But the man they call the Grinder now has a chance to secure poker's Triple Crown in 1 year.
If I can actually pull this off tonight, look out, because this place is going to go crazy.
Tonight, 9 men stand on the precipice. The world champion will soon be crowned, and history could be made. This is the World Series of Poker Main Event Final Table. Today, the hallways of the Rio were filled with fans, friends, and family.
Let's go Grinder, Team Grinder, baby.
They were eager to support the November 9 and ready to make some noise. Welcome, everyone, to the World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. For Norman Chat, I'm Lon McCarran.
I'm feeling nervous. Oh my God. Go Grinder!
4 long months filled with anticipation have finally ended, Norman.
To the moon, Lon. I am stoked.
The Penn and Teller Theater is filled to capacity. Many of the game's greats are on hand, and the electricity in the air is palpable. One of these 9 men will be the 2010 World Champion of Poker. The long and difficult journey of the main event ends tonight. The November 9 has quickly become a poker institution. It is the ultimate goal of every player, and what an amazing destination also for their fans. And Norman, if there's one thing we have learned over the last couple of years, it's that when it comes to what unfolds at the final table, expect the unexpected.
Do you want unexpected? How about our huge chip leader in the hoodie hitting that lucky straight on the river? How about the singing Italian going runner, runner to stay alive? How about the amateur who barely knows the difference between under the gun and under the weather? All unexpected. And how about the pro who began this World Series by winning the most prestigious event in poker and now may end it by taking down the biggest prize in the game? Unexpected. There's only one thing I know for sure, Lon. I do look good in this blazer.
Where's the red carpet, Norman? And if you weren't excited enough, here's ring announcer Bruce Buffer to deliver the most famous words in poker.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. It's time! Let's shuffle up and deal!
All right, Norman, we need a moment to catch our breath, so let's allow our November 9 to introduce themselves.
Jason Senti, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Short stack, 7.6 million chips.
Soi Nguyen, Santa Ana, California. I don't have a lot of experience, but I have a lot of heart.
Michael the Grinder Mizrachi, Miramar, Florida. I'm here to make history, and no one's gonna stop me.
Filippo Candio, Cagliari, Italy. I win for me, I win for Italy.
Matt Jarvis, Surrey, Canada. 5th place, $16.7 million. John Racener, Tampa, Florida. Shout out to my mom and my sister. I love you guys the most.
Joseph Cheong, La Mirada, California. 3rd place, 23.5 million chips.
John Dolan, Bonita Springs, Florida. 2nd place, $46.25 million.
Jonathan Duhamel, Montreal, Canada. 66 million. It's good to be the chip leader.
The average age of the November 9, 26.9 years. If this final table were any younger, they played on a Ferris wheel.
You guys should all be nervous. All my decisions are easy.
I'm nervous.
My decisions are easy, so I got nothing to worry
For
about.
the short stack Senti, the options are few.
My fellow Canadian friends make me nervous. Look at those
He has
stats,
the unfortunate seat of having the 3 biggest stacks to his left, including chip leader Jonathan Duhamel. Action on Michael, the grinder Mizrachi on the Jack Links beef jerky pocket cam. Jack 7 off. Grinder lays it down. Over to Canadian Matt Jarvis in 5th place from British Columbia with ace Jack of Hearts.
The man of 1,000 jobs.
He won the respected Canadian heads-up championship during the break. His parents and sister in the crowd. Matt raised from under the gun +1 to just over 1.1 million to Filippo Candio, 5 deuce. And the Italian quietly folds.
We've got 5 pairs of sunglasses, 5 baseball caps, 1 visor, 3 hoodies, and 2 sets of earrings at this table.
To the short stack Senti. 7 deuce, he'll lay that down. Now Joseph Cheong, better known by his online screen name Sublime, with 10-6 of clubs.
2.675.
He says raise from the dealer button to almost 2.7 million.
He says we came to play, not to stay.
Duhamel in the big blind. Folds, king 4. So now the re-raise back to Jarvis.
You wait 4 months to play this final table, so you usually have a feeling out period and slow action at first.
Jarvis makes the call. Both of these guys lost about half their stacks during 10-handed play. Here's the flop. Deuce 5-10, 2 clubs. Cheong with a pair of 10s and a flush draw. Jarvis missed that, and he checks.
This is a new hoodie for Cheong. He makes the November 9, and suddenly he's Calvin Klein.
He checks as well. Turn card 7 of diamonds. Cheong still ahead with the 10s. Jarvis got no help there. Top online pro Sorel Mitzi helped prepare Jarvis for this final table. Jarvis bets $3 million.
Boy, no feeling out period for Matt Jarvis.
His parents are nervous. His dad, Norm Jarvis, a former pro golfer. He and Matt played 14 holes of golf yesterday. Cheong's friends sporting the one-time Sublime t-shirts.
Cheong with top pair in the flush draw. Gonna play it cautiously here in the early going.
Cheong makes the call for $3 million. The river card is the 8 of clubs, and Cheong rivers his flush and earns the check mark.
Matt Jarvis fired at this pot on the turn. If he fires again on the river, something's gonna fire back.
Matt Jarvis with just ace high, and he is firing, Norman. 4.2 million and change.
Oh, an ill-timed bluff from Matt Jarvis.
Nervous times for the whole Jarvis clan. Action back to Joseph Cheong.
I'm all in.
And Cheong raises Matt Jarvis all in.
Jarvis with no choice now but to fold. And his father Norm is going to wish he could get a mulligan on this hand.
I got.
Good hand, Joseph.
Jarvis does lay it down to Joseph Cheong. And Cheong gets an early boost to his stack. Now with almost 34 million, he has 15% of the chips in play.
And a jarring blow to the Canadian. He loses more than half his chips, and he is now the short stack.
Jarvis severely hamstrung, must be very selective. Let's take a look at the FullTiltPoker.net tournament ticker. We can see just how much money is at stake tonight. Get knocked out in 9th, and you'll miss out on the $1 Million Club. Make it into the top 5, and you'll be an instant multi-millionaire. But nothing compares to the top spot, which comes with nearly $9 million and that World Championship bracelet.
Why so serious?
I don't know.
Let's just have fun, huh? Got any jokes, Grinder?
No jokes. I'll have some
I was
if I
pretty sure I
win.
knew the answer to that one. I just thought it'd be worth a shot, because it'd be awesome if you just, like, broke out some knock-knock joke right there. It'd be pretty fun, huh? Next time we do this, you gotta have one for me, right?
Okay, Jason, this one's for you. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
A grown man with a mustache who stopped telling knock-knock jokes when he turned 45.
I didn't see that one coming. Matt Jarvis with his short stack, ace-10 of clubs. He'll lay it down. Now to 24-year-old Tampa pro John Racener with pocket kings.
He says that chewing gum keeps him calm. He's superstitious, so he chews the same 2 pieces of double bubble that he starts the day with.
And he raises the action to $1.3 million. Racener's mom, Janine, and sister Patty, hoping he can overcome his chip disadvantage tonight.
Racener's dad, who taught him how to play cards, passed away in 2008. He's playing this main event in honor of him.
Soi Nguyen folds over to the number 1 seed, Jason Senti. Senti with a suited ace as well.
Senti's been working with Phil Galfond. Jason says, I think I'll play the short stack as well as anyone I know.
Jason, with that short stack, will not play that suited ace-10. Now to John Dolan, king-queen off from Bonita Springs, Florida. He's got the second biggest stack at the table.
How much you start the hand with, John?
Almost 18.
On our holiday card family update 5 years ago, Dolan's mom, Kathy, wrote, John's become very good at his new hobby, poker. I keep thinking one day I'll turn on the World Series and see him sitting at the final table.
Well, she and the family are here in person watching him at the biggest final table. So a couple of Florida boys will see this flop. It's 10-7 queen. Racener still ahead with pocket kings. Dolan caught a pair of queens.
When we were on the money bubble, Racener had less than 15 big blinds left. At the start of day 8, Dolan was 24th out of 27 players, so there's always hope.
Both check to the turn. It's a third heart, 9 of hearts. Racener still ahead. Dolan with a flush draw, both with the same straight draw. And now Dolan bets out $1.775 million.
Dolan's got a straight flush draw. I'd go all in. That's why I'm sitting here wearing a seatbelt.
Racener, with his pocket kings and that draw, makes the call.
Dolan probably thinks he's good, but he's going to need some help.
River card deuce of clubs. Dolan misses all his draws. Racener with the check mark. Dolan first to act. Top pair on the board.
He's reaching again.
John Dolan is reaching. $3.5 million.
Dolan thinks he's good. And this is a tough call for Racener. Straight and flush possibilities on that board.
Can he get Racener off the hand? No, he can't. Racener makes the call. And Dolan's queens will come up second best to Racener's pocket kings.
Smart thinking. Double bubble might be big trouble for the rest of this table.
Racener picks up a few million from the bigger stack of John Dolan, who falls below 43 million chips. John Racener takes a pot, and we're just getting started at the main event final table where the battle for the bracelet and $9 million rages on. Welcome back to the Rio, where the Penn and Teller Theater is packed with poker fans eager to crown a new world champion. As we check out the chip count, we see it is bookended by Canadians. Montreal's Jonathan Duhamel still on top with 30% of the chips in play, while Vancouver's Matt Jarvis has only 4%, and he is the short stack.
But remember, at one point last year, Joe Cata had less than 2% of the chips in play, and he became the main event champion.
Jarvis sits with just over 8 million chips. He certainly has a long uphill fight to keep his main event going tonight, but that's nothing compared to the battle his father Norm has been waging every single day.
My dad was a professional golfer. He played on the Canadian Tour. I caddied for him for, I think, 10 events. Kind of brought us closer together. He's an amazing guy and a real role model for me. It was late April that we found out that my dad had cancer. It's mostly in the throat. He has a really tough time swallowing, and because of that, he can't eat right now. During this time, I was doing whatever I could to prepare for the main event. When I found out, I just kind of was like, okay, let's throw this aside and deal with helping my dad get better. But he pushed me through it. He said, there's not much you can do here. Go down and do what you love and follow your dream, kind of like what he did with golf. Attack this, and I'll be attacking my cancer back home.
I said, Matt, I think it's your turn one of these times. You have to go to this tournament. I said, if anything major goes wrong, I'll phone you, you can come home. But I want you to go.
It took a few days before I realized that if I'm gonna be down here, I gotta make the most of it. And once I figured that out, never looked back.
It was just fantastic, just watch him, hear him. We were in constant touch.
A lot of people have come up to me and said, wow, I'm really glad you're doing so great. I think it's really giving your dad something to be excited about.
Matt's provided a lot of life during a time when there wasn't much.
He's made tremendous progress already. He's got really good prognosis back from the doctors, and he's a fighter. I'm very, very proud of him.
course, Norm Jarvis obviously very proud of his son as well, and even prouder to be here at this final table to cheer him on. Back to action at this championship table, action on Matt Jarvis.
This is the second time in 3 years 2 Canadians have made the November 9. Scott Montgomery and Darush Suharto in 08, Jarvis and Jonathan Duhamel this year.
Under the gun, Jarvis folds Queen 8. Racener with 8 tray. No thank you.
Of course, Filippo Candio trying to become the first Italian to win the main event.
He folds to Soi Nguyen with a short stack. King tray won't play here. Over to Jason Senti, also with a short stack, needing some magic. Jack 10 of clubs.
He skipped the main event 2 years ago because he was getting married. That was pretty much a coin flip.
From the hijack seat, Senti with a raise to $1,125,000. Now Dolan on the button with 2 jacks.
Dolan clean shaven, no shades. You'd let him date your sister.
What'd you start with exactly, Jason?
Like right at 11, roughly. I mean, it's very close.
Dolan vaulted from $2 million to $46 million on day 8, and he's going to re-raise it to over $2.5 million. Duhamel folds his small blind to the grinder in the big. Ace-King.
He believes in the opposite rule. If he thinks negative, positive happens. If he thinks positive, bad happens. So he's predicting an 8th or 9th place finish in the main event.
For the $2,525,000?
I like the opposite rule, Lon.
All right.
I want to work with you the rest of my life.
Grinder's going to re-raise it. Of course, Mama Grinder, his wife Lily, and 3 brothers are nearby.
They're always nearby.
$6
Grinder
million
4 bets it to $8.5 million. And that has his wife Lily Mizrachi nervous as usual. Senti folds now to Dolan.
With those tricky pocket jacks, Dolan might figure the worst hand Grinder might have is Ace-King with that 4 bet.
What?
It could even be aces or kings or queens.
Is wild good for me?
I don't know.
Dolan unsure with the jacks, perhaps reluctant to give Grinder any chances should John lose this hand.
Yeah, jacks can be the grim reaper of hold'em.
If you fold, you're gonna hear a big Grinder roar.
Boy, do they know how to roar. While Dolan's family's looking for a reason to cheer.
If Dolan's feeling the drama, he doesn't show it.
John Dolan lays down the jacks. Bring on the Grinder roar.
Show it.
One time.
Grinder doesn't show, but he takes that pot.
He's showing his short stack chops.
Mizrachi's loving it. Frank Casella's in the house. Grinder can tie him for Player of the Year if he wins it all tonight. Mike the Mouth making himself known.
Grinder! 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 Grinder!
If Mike the Mouth or the Grinders ever move into your neighborhood, you might want to invest in some noise reduction headphones.
2/3 of all main event entrants came from the United States. 2/3 of our final table do as well. Michael Mizrachi with 6-5 offsuit, and he will not play. Matt Jarvis says no thanks. Racener folds to Filippo Candio, who's been quiet so far tonight. He lays it down to the 37-year-old amateur Soi Nguyen, who played his way into this den of poker thieves, Ace-King.
Director of operations for a medical supplies distributor company. I think he's just shuffling papers all day.
He's on the button with no action in front of him. And he moves all in for just over $7.5 million. And that immediately gets the attention of Soi's friend and boss, John Lasso, and the more than 100 red-clad Soi Nguyen supporters. Now in the small blind, Jason Senti with 2 queens.
How much is it?
Jason's friend and poker coach Phil Galfond in attendance.
Senti barely has win out chipped. These 2 short stacks destined to clash here.
I'm all in.
And Senti moves all in for almost $9 million. Jason's parents on the left, his wife Jessica in the middle. Joseph Cheong folds his big blind, and so Soi Nguyen at risk against Jason Senti's 2 queens.
This is a big flip.
When the main event started, there were 32 players with the last name Nguyen playing. Soi is the last win standing.
Pretty much a double up for either man.
This is a big, big flip.
Jason's parents hoping their son can score the first knockout tonight.
One time.
Soi wins the one who needs the one time right now to stick around.
Here's the flop with Soi Nguyen at risk, and his queen tray 10. Senti with a set of queens. Nguyen picked up a Broadway draw.
Jack! Soi says the others have poker experience. I've got life experience. The only experience he needs right now is a whole lot of luck.
All right, now the turn card is a 9. No help to Soi Nguyen.
Nguyen needs to make his straight.
I'm sweating this one. Yeah, oh yeah.
Nobody lay down a jack, right?
Nguyen has to have a jack or he's the first one eliminated from the final table.
The river card is a king! Soi Nguyen knocked out of this main event championship by Jason Senti. And Senti's family celebrates. Soi Nguyen says his goodbyes.
What a great run. The only true amateur here learned the most important poker term there is, the November 9.
A critical win for Senti. He's over 17 million. Not only did Soi Nguyen live the dream of playing in the main event, he gave new hope to the amateurs around the world that they could do it too. So with Soi's exit, 8 millionaires now sit at this table in a quest for the $9 million top prize. This is Bill. This is Jeff. And this is the vault that contains the biggest prize in poker. Nearly $9 million needs an owner, but for now, it's in very safe custody. Back at the Rio for the World Series of Poker main event final table. The November 9 has lost one player. We're down to 8 thanks to Jason Senti's elimination of Soi Nguyen.
I'm officially the oldest guy at the table.
Everyone left is in their 20s.
Be proud of that.
He's the oldest at 29 and older and wiser than the young player he was when he took the poker world by storm in 05 and 06 with over $5 million in tournament winnings. But it was the grind that followed which helped lead to the grinder's greatest success.
In 2005, I mean, everything went my way.
Yes!
It seemed like nothing could stop me.
Mizrachi doubles up.
I won $1.85 million. I was spending money on nice cars. I spent $175,000 on an RV, and then bought like maybe 6 or 7 homes. It was a fun ride, and I was just enjoying myself. Well, people talk about my 05, 06, and then they're like, what happened to 07, 08? I didn't have losing years, but I didn't have those $1 million scores. You know, we started a family, and it was a little tougher to travel as much. And when you don't play, you don't have results. And then the market just shot right down. I got, pretty much beat up. I bought everything super high, and I had a tax lien, bad investments, foreclosures, and as a father, your main priority is to, provide food and shelter for your children. I had to do well this World Series. I couldn't ask for a better series.
Can the grinder be stopped?
I mean, it's been an unbelievable run. I won the Players' Championship, made 2 more championship final tables, and made the November 9. I was actually with my son the other day, and he's like, Dad, how much is first for the main event? I told him $9 million. He goes, is that more than $1 million? I go, look, Paul, $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $4 million. That's 9 times $1 million. He goes, wow. So I'll make sure I put that money away for them before I buy my RV or my nice boat or my nice car. I feel like I matured, and I'm back on top again, and I don't want to look down again. I just want to stay on top.
Lily predicted her husband would have a great World Series, and in the wake of tax and foreclosure problems, 2010 has been a year of redemption for Michael Mizrachi with $2 million paydays.
Michael in 5th place right now on the PokerStars.net chip count. Duhamel and Dolan still on top. Candio and Jarvis are on the bottom. And Jason Senti continues to climb up and away from his formerly short stack. With only 8 players remaining, a new oversized chip is in play. It's worth $500,000. And while it may be red, white, and blue, the player with the most of them is Canadian Jonathan Duhamel. All right, let's get back to action on Filippo Candio. From the island of Sardinia off the west coast of Italy, pocket aces.
He loves Sammy Farha, Lady Gaga, and Disney films, an eclectic combination. And he really loves pocket aces.
Absolutely. Filippo has found a way to get his lucky sweater in the mix, using it as a scarf, and he raises to $1,325,000. Senti will not play. To Joseph Cheong on the button with 2 jacks.
Cheong is superstitious. Once the sunglasses go on, he never takes them off while he's playing. I'm the same way with pediatric arch supports.
Cheong makes the call. Now to John Dolan. Dolan lays down his small blind. Duhamel in the big blind with ace-king.
Duhamel flat out expects to win this thing.
He says re-raise. Duhamel trying to become the first since Jamie Gold in 06 to win the main event after starting the final table as chip leader.
Well, Duhamel says simply, I believe in me.
Filippo's parents came to Vegas to hopefully see their son celebrate. Duhamel with the re-raise to almost $4 million.
Filippo's gotta love to hear that.
Joseph Cheong to act after Filippo.
And Filippo doing his best Hollywood. Suddenly he's Roberto Benigni.
All in.
That's what we expected. Candio all in for almost $15 million. And that puts his cheering section, including his mom and sister, on edge. Now Cheong with the pocket jacks.
Pocket jacks with 2 raises now behind Joseph Cheong.
Does Cheong want to stick around? Joseph Cheong says goodbye to the jacks.
Smart laydown.
Now Duhamel.
I call.
He makes the call. And that is music to the ears of Filippo Candio and his supporters.
Well, unless he gets unlucky, Filippo Candio about to take a chunk out of the chip leader.
Duhamel's parents on the left showing concern. Filippo on his feet looking for a double up. The Italian cheering section noisy as we expect, while the Canadians are stoic.
Filippo studied singing when he was young, now breaking into his all-in song.
Duhamel not enjoying the tune. Here's the flop. Tray 6-10. Duhamel now almost drawing dead. Candio's aces standing tall. Filippo's mom Maria and sister Marta, they know what 99-1 means.
The adrenaline junkie getting no rush out of this hand, about to double up Filippo Candio.
The turn card's a 9 and Duhamel drawing dead. Candio doubles up. Filippo Candio with almost 32 million chips now.
Duhamel still the chip leader, takes it in stride.
Norman, can you imagine Andres Cantor calling a winning river card for Candio? Candio with a huge uptick at this final table.
Candio con 32 milioni al terzo posto e spera per il titolo campione del mondo.
Translation, Candio with 32 million, third place, and still hope for the title, champion of the world.
The World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Final table.
Welcome back to the Rio and the Penn and Teller Theater. The crowd still buzzing over Filippo Candio's double up, among them his mother Maria, from whom Filippo must have inherited his emotional side. Filippo acknowledging the crowd. The table forced to acknowledge his growing chip stack.
Got a lot of chips now, huh, Filippo?
At the moment, Filippo's going to let his chips do the talking.
Well, Candio can indeed bask in the glory of that victory. And Norman, you get one more chance at glory yourself. It is time for the final Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand of 2010.
Lon, let's face it, my record ain't good. I couldn't predict the weather if I were standing in the rain, but I'm going to hit a walk-off homer here and get this one right.
Short stack Matt Jarvis with ace-queen. He's become a bit of a celebrity in the Vancouver area. A raise now to $1,425,000.
Now, this whole thing is going to blow up in my face if I have to figure out Filippo Candio.
Luckily, he's not the Jack Link's wild card hand. He does fold.
Grazie.
Folded to the button. Joseph Cheong, he has the wild card hand.
Well, if Cheong raises Jarvis, who made an early position raise from the short stack, I'm going to put Cheong from the button on a big hand.
I'm going to raise.
Cheong does announce re-raise. He loves to put pressure on his opponents. Cheong makes it over $3.5 million. His friends are wondering what he has also.
I've got to put Cheong on a big suited ace or a really big pocket pair.
Now in the small blind, John Dolan with pocket jacks.
With a raise and a re-raise in front of him, nothing good can come from that.
Nothing good can ever come from pocket jacks. But Dolan does make that call.
This could get messy for Dolan.
Duhamel folded his big blind, so now back to Jarvis. With ace-queen. And two big stacks. Cheong and Dolan already in the hand. Jarvis succumbs to the added pressure and folds, so heads up between two players, each with chip stacks worth over $30 million. The flop, 9 tray 10. Dolan gets no help with his jacks.
If I'm Dolan, I'm going to bet and see where I stand.
He checks.
Nothing good can come from that. Nothing, Lon. Nothing!
Joseph Cheong now checks as well.
Cheong might be slow playing a really big overpair, trying to trap Dolan.
Turn card now. A queen of clubs. Dolan adds an up and down straight draw.
But if you're Dolan, you're looking at an overcard, 2 clubs and 3 to a straight out there. If I'm him, I would check fold.
He does check.
Well, he agrees with me. Cheong is slow playing a monster.
Well, Cheong checks as well.
Dolan should fold in the dark.
River card is a jack. Dolan now with a set.
But could that card be any worse for pocket jacks, Lon? I mean, in the history of poker, no card could be worse for pocket jacks. Dolan hits his set, but that card completes a flush and puts 4 cards to a straight on the board.
Dolan does check.
He's halfway there. I mean, Cheong either has a bigger set, a straight, or a flush. If he has anything less than that, then I'm a monkey's uncle with large ears.
You're 2 for 2.
Good for you.
Cheong.
8.5.
$8.5 million, and that has Dolan squirming.
Well, no way Dolan can call, even though he's got the set. He called a re-raise pre-flop. He got no information from a usually aggressive player on the flop in the turn, then gets a pot-sized bet on the river. Very fishy.
A big moment here for Dolan.
He's got to fold. Fold it, John.
Call.
No, he makes a call. Cheong shows ace-10 for the nut flush. He wins the Jack Link's beef jerky wild card hand. And Norman, you were right.
Ship the beef jerky.
Dolan's family is crushed. The nightmare for John Dolan continues at this final table. He's lost almost half his chips already tonight, while Joseph Cheong has replaced Dolan as the second biggest stack. So Dolan falls from 2nd to 4th. Duhamel still atop the leaderboard. Matt Jarvis has moved out of the basement, but he still has only about half the chip average. Despite the disparity between the 1st and 8th place players, it's still anyone's ballgame. John Dolan folds over to the chip leader, Jonathan Duhamel. Jack 10 off.
His drill every day of the main event, breakfast, and a little shadow boxing when he gets to the poker room. Then he puts on his hoodie. I did that exact same routine on my 3rd honeymoon.
Duhamel thrives on opening pots, and he does raise to $1.4 million. Mizrachi with ace-queen of diamonds.
His final table mantra is, I don't care. So much on the line, but to reduce pressure, he says, I don't care.
Grinder played very little live poker before coming to the World Series this year, but then went on to play 42 of 57 events. And he makes the call here. Jarvis with pocket 9s.
He says the sunglasses allow him to get into his own zone. When the shades are on, he's fearless.
Come on.
Jarvis going for it all in for just over $14 million. And that brings his dad, Norm Jarvis, to his feet.
Jarvis has about 23 big blinds left.
Candio in the small blind with 8-6 off. He will not play that. Jason Senti now with the short stack, Queen Jack. And he folds. So the raise back to Duhamel. No thank you.
How much more is that?
It's for more than half of Mizrachi's stack. Does Grinder want to take that much of a risk on ace-queen, chasing player of the year, chasing history, and chasing $9 million?
A critical moment for Mizrachi, who needs almost $13 million to call.
I call.
And he does make that call. Jarvis now at risk, but a lot on the line for the Grinder as well.
And now Matt Jarvis's hope of becoming the first Canadian main event champion hangs in the balance.
Matt Jarvis ahead right now. His family hoping he can extend his main event stay. Jarvis at risk. Now here's the flop. Queen A, queen! Mizrachi flops trip queens.
And Grinder shoves Matt Jarvis towards the exit.
Matt's family is stunned. He seems to be taking it well. All right, the turn card. Oh, and there's the 9! 9's full for Jarvis.
What a turn of events.
Oh, my goodness.
Where else but the main event can you find such a wave of changing emotion? Grinder now on the verge of becoming the short stack. Matt Jarvis all but gone. Looks like he's going to stick around.
Norm Jarvis hoping Matt can fade disaster on the river.
Small card. Such a such a final table sweat.
Grinder would need an ace, queen, or 8 to knock out Matt Jarvis.
It's an ace!
Oh, mama!
No way!
It's not possible, is it?
And the roller coaster ride comes to an end for Jarvis.
What was an almost certain double up is now an 8th place finish. Dad cannot believe it. Grinder getting absolutely swarmed by his friends and family, while Jarvis gets some well wishes from his competitors.
So many emotional ups and downs for this family. So many ups and downs in this main event for Matt Jarvis. The Mizrachi clan continues their celebration. Grinder now third in chips, while on the other side of the stage, Matt getting consolation from his mom and his dad. Jarvis wins over $1 million for 8th place, but more importantly, shares a moment with those most important to him. Matt Jarvis and family will now head home as the November 9 is now down to 7. Back inside the Rio, where the Mizrachi contingent is still abuzz after that incredible hand we all just witnessed. Grinder hitting the full boat on the river. Norman had an eerily familiar feel to it.
Back in 2003, Chris Moneymaker had ace-queen and Phil Ivey had pocket nines. The board played out in nearly identical fashion, and the same ace of spades on the river gave Moneymaker queens full of aces to eliminate Ivey's nines full of queens in 10th place.
Grinder would certainly like to mimic Moneymaker's success from 03 here tonight. Action on Joseph Cheong, 6-4 of diamonds.
He's got 2 degrees he's not using, one in psychology and one in math. Well, I guess those come in handy in poker.
From under the gun +1 with 6-4 of diamonds, Cheong raises to $1,325,000. Duhamel with ace-deuce.
He says he will dance and box if he wins the main event. I did the same thing after my first divorce.
Duhamel, the chip leader and lone Canadian, left with a re-raise to $3.1 million. His sister there on the left, along with their aunt.
Well, this isn't Generation Y. It's Generation Why Not 3-bet.
Yeah, absolutely. Mizrachi lays down his button. So now back to Cheong with the re-raise from Duhamel.
And look at the hand he raised with from UTG +1. And now Cheong thinking about calling the 3-bet with those babies.
Good call.
Well, he described to us his style as spewy, and he makes the call.
I'm half surprised he didn't 4-bet it with the 6-4.
So 2 of the big stacks see a flop of 4 ace-10. Duhamel with top pair, Cheong with bottom pair. So Cheong with a pair of 4s out of position. And he checks it.
I wonder how the Supreme Court would adjudicate stuff if 3 of the 9 justices wore hoodies.
Duhamel with the pair of aces makes it $3.25 million. Now Cheong with just a pair of 4s. He makes the call.
A lot of game in Joseph Cheong. A lot of game in Jonathan Duhamel, too.
$14 million in the pot. A 6 on the turn gives Cheong 2 pair to take the lead. And he checks it.
Cheong thinking check raise, I imagine.
Duhamel won't let him.
Cheong looking to trap the big pair.
River card is a jack of diamonds. Cheong with the check mark with 6s and 4s.
Yeah, you play that type of hand, baby suited connectors, hoping you can get lucky and trap a big pair.
And trap a big stack. Cheong makes it $8.25 million.
Jonathan Duhamel with pair of aces, no kicker. With that board, he's got to figure the aces might be good.
Cheong's cheering section includes poker pros and a lot of friends. Duhamel needs over $8 million to call.
I call.
And that's what he does.
2 pair.
And 2 pair for Joseph. Cheong will win that big pot. And for the first time at this final table, we have a new chip leader, Joseph Cheong.
I play bad.
So Cheong with $60 million now leads the way. Duhamel now regretting that call against Cheong on the river. But everyone in the poker world is wondering what he was thinking when he made the call on day 8 that would propel him to the chip lead in the main event.
I've been thinking about this hand for like 4 months now.
Jonathan Duhamel looks down at pocket jacks.
Every people like who want to talk to me, like the first thing they talk about is that hand.
Now to Matt Affleck.
Hello, pocket aces.
Well, the thing is pre-flop, when he re-raises me, most of the time he has nothing. So that's why I decided that my jacks were like the nuts.
Flop of 10-9-7, Affleck still good.
I think I never put him on the aces or kings. For me, it was more of a, did he flop a set of 10s and 9s? Basically, that was the 2 hands I was worried about.
Big pot now, and we could have a big change in the pecking order.
And I said to myself, if I win the hand, I'm going to be the chip leader by far. Even if I lose the hand, I still have like 30 big blinds to play with.
Come on, win.
A huge decision for Duhamel.
Kind of said, let's go, let's gamble.
I call.
And makes the call.
me, it's not just about making the November 9. For me, it's about winning.
Affleck, one card away from putting a huge hurt on Duhamel. The river card, oh, it's an 8!
All the room was like, oh.
A crushing blow to Matt Affleck.
That was like not sure what was happening, and then I just realized this is my tournament. I have chips. The thing is about luck, it's something you cannot control. For me, I try to think about what I can control. I guess it's time to win right now.
Duhamel plays hockey 4 times a week. His dream was to play in the National Hockey League. Instead, he just bangs people around on the poker table.
7 players remain in the chase for that World Championship bracelet and the nearly $9 million first prize. And right now, Joseph Cheong, the man out front at the 2010 main event. Action will begin on Jason Senti. Senti looks down at ace-queen.
He backpacked through Europe when he was 20. I also backpacked most of Europe, but I took a suitcase.
Senti from under the gun and chips in hand with a raise to $1,350,000. Cheong 6-4 again.
His new favorite hand?
Suited. No, not this time.
The wrong suit.
Dolan folds as well to Duhamel now with Jack 9. He folds over to Mizrachi on the button with King 8 of clubs.
During the break, Grinder went to the UK, France, Hungary, and Austria. He essentially conquered Europe.
Mizrachi calls. John Racener lays it down. Candio now in the big blind. Queen 10 of hearts.
Candio already lives in Europe, so he doesn't have to visit.
No, he doesn't.
1,300,000.
Candio needs $750,000 to call from the big blind. That's what he does. 3 players will see a flop.
And 3 hands I don't like.
Here's the flop. 5-4 deuce. Nobody pairs up. Senti's ace high is best.
Well, the first person even to motion towards the pot could take it right now.
Senti does have a wheel draw. Candio checked his nothing. Senti checked also. Grinder sees an open door, but he checks. Turn card now is a king. Mizrachi pairs his king to take the lead. Candio with a flush draw. Filippo with chips in hand, $2,009,000.
Candio's favorite book is The Count of Monte Cristo. That's an adventure novel, and this hand is now an adventure.
The adventure is over for Jason Senti. He folds his ace to Mizrachi with top pair.
Candio getting frisky with Squaduccio.
I was wondering when that was going to happen. 2 of the brothers Mizrachi looking closely on.
Those boys have got to find work.
Michael now makes the call for 2.9.
And Filippo's got to hate that call.
The river card, tray of spades. The Grinder gets the check mark with his pair of kings. Senti folded an ace that would have given him a wheel.
Yeah, if you're still in this hand and you don't have an ace, you can't like your cards very much.
Candio looking at his stack. And he puts out almost $4.5 million on the bluff, Norman.
Filippo fires a second barrel here on the river.
And that shot is heard all around this Penn and Teller Theater. Mizrachi checking out the smaller stack of Candio.
Candio on a slippery slope here, and he doesn't have much slope to work with.
Grinder lays down the best hand, and Candio throws down the bluff.
Oh! And just when it looked like Filippo only plays aces, he shows us he has other cards up his sleeve.
Grinder takes a hit.
Nice play.
And acknowledges the savvy play from Italian Filippo Candio.
And the Mizrachis look like Nordstrom's just closed its doors before they got there.
Filippo Candio moves up a notch on the leaderboard to 4th place. History could still be made with an Italian world champion. Time now for Straight from the Pros, brought to you by PokerStars.net. During the first hand of Heads Up at the 2009 main event final table, Joe Catta and Darvin Moon immediately clashed.
Darvin Moon open limp the button. You figure when they limp, most of the time it's pretty weak hand. So yeah, I was excited to see 9s.
Raise from Catta to $3.5 million. Boom. Just calls with his pocket queens. Here's the flop. Trade King Deuce.
It's not really a bad flop for my hand.
Joe first to act. That's $3.5 million.
It's a tough spot when a guy likes to play back at you a lot.
$10 million now. The raise from Darvin Moon.
And it's about 6.5 to call, so I'm getting decent odds for how many chips are in the pot.
The turn card is an ace. Catta does check. The ace does not slow him down. That's 10 million.
It's really unlikely for him to have a king, because why is he going to bet the turn with the king? And I didn't really put him on an ace either because he limped in. So I thought if he was bluffing, that's a great card to bluff because the board changes.
I don't think Joe Cat is going anywhere with his pocket nines, and he does make the call. We're going to see a river card. It's another king. Cata checks again, and Darvin checks.
I was really surprised at the queens, and that's when I learned that you played a little differently than I analyzed in the hand, and I was going to have to adjust and think about hands differently throughout the course with heads up.
It does take constant adjustments to win any tournament, and the main event in particular. Filippo Candio is just the kind of wild card player you have to adjust for, and the Grinder just found that out the hard way.
Well, what a job Grinder has done. Remember, he was down to 7 big blinds on day 8.
Grinder with queen 8 off. They're in the muck now. John Racener looking for a critically needed double up. He folds. Candio, after that bluff of Mizrachi, has 8-6. He won't bluff with those. Jason Senti now. King 7 off.
I'm all in.
And Senti shoves for almost 10 million.
Just 16 big blinds and only the big blind behind him.
Ace-9 of clubs for Cheong.
I call.
That one's bad.
Yeah, and Senti all in and in bad shape against Joseph Cheong. Cheong's ace-9, almost a 2-to-1 advantage. His parents rooting for him to extend his chip lead.
Jason Senti said the toughest 6 months of his poker career came just before the main event. But what a main event it's been for the Minnesota pro.
Jason's wife, Jessica, looking for her husband to double up. All right, here's the flop. Jack-6 trade. Cheong still leads with ace-high. Senti on the ropes.
Senti's done a great job to get this far. At the start of day 7, he was 69th in chips out of 78 players.
You're right, he has been the poster boy for hang around in the main event and see what happens. The turn card, ace of diamonds, a pair of aces for Cheong, but that gives Senti a flush draw.
It's a terrible card. Diamonds, gotta sweat.
Jessica Senti praying for a diamond.
See a diamond.
Jason Senti has to have a diamond, or he will be our 7th place finisher.
And there's his diamond!
Oh! At this final table, it's never over till it's over. And boy, Joseph Cheong knows how to take a tough beat in stride. Remember the Filippo Candio runner hand on day 8.
Still playing.
None of Jason's final table opponents wanted to see him with chips, but this solid Minneapolis pro has more ammunition now. And they're loving it in the upper reaches of the Penn and Teller Theater.
I think the Senti section is tossing Penn and Teller among themselves.
So Jason Senti doubles up to stay alive. He moves up to 6th place and knocks Joseph Cheong down to 3rd in the process. Jonathan Duhamel back on top, while John Racener is now the short stack with only 6% of the chips in play. The blinds are up to 400 and 800,000, 100,000 ante. John Dolan started this table 2nd in chips with pocket 7s.
He's got a shorter stack now, and he says he will be patient if he needs be.
He's in 5th place from under the gun +1, a raise to $1,850,000. Ace-king for Duhamel.
After making the November 9, he bought himself a new Audi. I hope he drives more carefully than he plays poker.
And Duhamel doing what Duhamel loves to do, a re-raise to $4,275,000. And the folks in the Canadians jerseys love that action. Now Mizrachi with 2 jacks.
And 2 raises in front of him.
Well, you know how I hate pocket jacks, Norman, but I trust them in the hands of Grinder. He's the 2nd biggest stack at the table, right behind Duhamel. Robert Mizrachi wondering what his brother's up to. Oh, he's got a lot of those red, white, and blue chips. A re-raise to almost 11 million from Grinder.
You are an animal, bro.
Mom, go down.
Yeah, the safety of Mama Grinder always comes first.
Racener now on the button, King 9. He'll watch this from a distance. Candio with ace-jack.
Another day.
Jason Senti, ace-deuce of diamonds.
Well, we've seen 3 of Duhamel's outs get folded away.
So now back to John Dolan and his 2 7s. And he'll fold.
What you started with?
About 40.
Duhamel has Grinder out-chipped. Unless he puts Grinder on aces or kings, he's going to want to see a flop.
A tense moment for the two cheering sections and the principals involved. Duhamel needs about $6.5 million to call. But he lays down the ace-king!
And seeking history, what a climb for Michael Mizrachi from 7 big blinds on day 8 to the top stack at the final table.
History is unfolding. The grinder takes the lead with only 7 players left. He is inching ever closer to capturing an unprecedented World Series trifecta. It's time to release the green. It's time to unlock the vault, open the cage, and start filling the bags with nearly $9 million. Brick by brick, 10 grand at a time. Welcome back to this 2010 World Series of Poker Main Event Final Table presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. 7 players still hunting for the championship bracelet and $9 million.
Chip leader. Chip leader means you have the most chips in the tournament.
Learn something new every day. Grinder was once down to $12 million at this final table and is now at $65 million.
I gotta go. I love you. I love you, Paul. Bye.
Grinder talking with his son, Paul. Jonathan Duhamel, the former chip leader, in second place now, but he had been down below $36 million on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky Pocket Cam Pocket Aces.
Duhamel said he was going to be aggressive but careful. He's been both, but not as maniacal as in the past.
A raise to $1,750,000.
What's at stake for Grinder? Winning Player of the Year, Players Championship, and Main Event title in the same year, plus he would become #1 all-time in tournament earnings.
Grinder folds his button over to his buddy John Racener, who played with Grinder for the first time a few years ago. He's got pocket 10s. He was so impressed with Grinder's play, he patterned his own style after Michael.
And they fear each other at the table, so they try to avoid each other.
Racener makes a call for $1,350,000 more. Now to Filippo Candio, King 7 of spades.
With the shades, he now looks like a cross between Dario Minieri and Sophia Loren.
And he makes the call for $950,000 more. So a 3-way flop. Racener with the 10s, Duhamel with the aces. Here's the flop. It is Queen 5, Queen. Duhamel aces up now. He still leads. Candio with a flush draw. Racener way behind. Racener first to act. And he checks. Candio checks his flush draw.
Duhamel in the driver's seat.
And people rarely get a free card with Duhamel in that seat. $2,150,000.
Racener knows Duhamel is very capable of a continuation bet here with nothing. Racener certainly might think his pocket 10s are good.
Racener has chips, and he will stick with Duhamel.
I actually thought he might even raise there to see if his 2-pair were good at this point.
So now to Filippo Candio. 4 spades to a flush, king high.
I'm all in.
And Candio moves all in! Oh, and Mama Mia says Mama Maria and Sister Marta.
In a table full of gamblers, Filippo Candio showing the most gamble, taking a stand with 25 big blinds left. This is what got Filippo here. He had tightened up some when we got to 10-handed, but now we're seeing his moxie.
Now it's Duhamel feeling the pressure, and he folds the aces.
Wow, Candio just got Duhamel to fold the best hand. Can he get Racener to fold the next best hand?
Racener looks suspicious of Filippo.
Filippo not moving a muscle.
His sister Marta obviously nervous. Racener's mom Janine on her feet again. John Racener lays it down. He's not going to show.
I know when he bluffs.
Candio even had Grinder fooled.
Candio not showing anything, and I assume on the inside he's singing Walking on Sunshine. The shove semi-bluff works.
He's in third place with over $30 million, and the former chip leader wonders if he's been had. Action now on the current chip leader, Michael Mizrachi. And he folds.
By the way, Lon, we're so fortunate to be here. I can't help but think back to our first year doing this, 2003. Amir Vahidi finished 6th. He passed away earlier this year. His cigar and his personality are sorely missed.
Well said, Norman. Jason Senti with ace-king. He's an online poker coach with friend and fellow pro Phil Galfond, who helped prep Jason for this final table.
Galfond lives in Manhattan. Senti lives in Minneapolis. It's an internet poker romance.
Senti with a raise to more than $1.8 million. Joseph Cheong on the button with pocket 10s.
Cheong became friends with pro Brian Micon, who's helped him dealing with TV cameras and the media. Geez, Joseph, I could help you more than Micon the icon, and I charge less.
Cheong
4,950,000.
He's going to repop it to $4,950,000. Dolan and Duhamel fold. Now back to Senti.
I'm all in.
He says, let's dance for it all.
I call.
And Cheong makes the call. We have a 34 million chip pot with Senti at risk.
Flipping.
Two likable young pros who just go about their business on the biggest stage.
Jason's family has been through the short stack ringer.
Yeah, ace king there. I'm like, yes, I crush your range.
Oh yeah, obvious. I don't know, like, how do you have tens there?
I don't know, seriously.
Like,
you have ace king,
ace jack or something, right? I mean, like, we both kind of got screwed there, I think.
Jason Senti hanging around as a short stack for a good while.
Hey, let's hear it!
Jason, the former engineer, playing to the crowd. He knows how to do that well. He sings and plays guitar in his rock band, Suburban Hero.
Flip it up. Let's do it.
Ace-king against Cheong's pocket tens. Here's the flop, and it's king, king, queen! Trip kings for Jason. Jason's cheering section hopeful. Joseph's parents thinking one time for their son.
Cheong once again dealing with adversity matter-of-factly. Senti gets a lifeline.
Turn card is a jack. Senti still way ahead, but he must sweat the river as Cheong just picked up a straight draw.
Cheong would need a 10 or a 9 to knock out Jason Senti.
The river card is a 9! Cheong spikes the winner!
The river madness does not stop!
And that straight delivers the knockout blow to Jason Senti. And the normally ultra-composed Joseph Cheong comes to life. Senti came in as the short stack, but the $1.3 million should ease the pain.
Guess he'll have a bigger recording budget for the next Suburban Hero album. He said he would play the short stack well, he did. He walks away disappointed, but certainly not disappointed in his play.
Well, even without this main event victory, Jason Senti's exit is a triumphant one. And now the dangerous Joseph Cheong has climbed into second place with only 6 players remaining at the main event final table. The grinder is still the top dog with 30% of the chips in play. Duhamel, once the chip leader, sits in third. John Dolan, who started the day second in chips, is now the short stack with just over 13 million.
6 players left for the World Championship and 3 are from Florida. It's the Sunshine State. Why is everyone sitting inside playing poker?
One of the Floridians, John Dolan from Bonita Springs, Florida, with a 5 of diamonds.
All in.
And he says, that's enough, I'm all in.
Dolan down to 13 big blinds.
Like 12.
He has not had any traction at this final table.
12 and a half.
Jonathan Duhamel with pocket 4s.
I call.
And he makes the call. Dolan at risk with 2 overcards and diamonds. He's looking for some renewed hope.
Dolan started this final table second in chips. He has had nothing much to work with all night.
So it's a pot of over 27 million. Dolan and his family have seen little go right tonight. John facing elimination, while the French Canadians look for their man to get us down to 5.
Canadians are visiting. Shouldn't they just try to blend in a little better?
All right, John Dolan at risk. The flop. Jack 7-6, all hearts. Dolan comes up empty.
Dolan, the former poker dealer at a dog track in Florida, needs this dealer to bring him some luck in a hurry.
Duhamel's pocket pair still ahead. Turn card. 9 of hearts, a good card for Dolan.
All right.
There's a flush draw out there, plus he picked up a gut shot straight draw.
Come on, John Ryan.
If a heart comes, they'll chop the pot. If it's a 5, 8, or queen, Dolan takes it all. Otherwise, he is gone.
It is a tray of clubs. Duhamel's pocket 4s are golden, and he knocks off John Dolan.
A great run ends uneventfully for the 24-year-old pro.
Dolan will collect almost $1.8 million, but I'm sure John expected much more from this main event. What a boost for Duhamel.
Lon, those are some happy Canadians.
One unhappy Floridian, John Dolan makes his way to the exit. An important knockout for Duhamel. He's now in third place in the race for almost $9 million. We're now 5-handed at the final table. Welcome back to the Rio, where from a starting field of over 7,300 players, we're down to the final 5. One of those, Michael Mizrachi, will win a share of Player of the Year honors if he can hang on to his chip lead and win the main event. Michael looks down at ace-8 of diamonds and raises the action to $2.5 million. So the chip leader putting pressure on the short stack, his buddy and fellow Floridian John Racener with ace-king.
The big ace for the short stack.
I'm all in.
And he moves all in. His sister Patty looks like she can't take much more of this. Racener's all in for just over $12 million. Cheong and Duhamel pass.
How much more is up?
Grinder and Racener try to keep out of each other's way.
Mama Grinder sitting quietly.
So close.
Geez, Grinder, you knocked your own brother out at the Poker Players Championship. Well, how hard is it to knock out your friend? Call! He hasn't even offered you a piece of gum, I bet. It would be for nearly 1/5 of Grinder's stack. If he was up against a big pocket pair, he'd be a 2-to-1 dog, and he's getting about 2-to-1 on a call here.
Yes, that is Patrick Antonius.
When you see Patrick in white, I just think wedding bells for us.
Back to the business at hand. Grinder makes the call to put Racener at risk, but Racener will have Mizrachi dominated.
Grinder decides to gamble against his buddy.
Yeah, what's Grinder have? What's Grinder have? I don't know.
Lily Mizrachi looking nervous. Racener's crew hoping he avoids elimination.
Oh, that's how you spell Racener? John Racener at risk against his friend Michael Mizrachi.
Here's the flop. Deuce 10, deuce. Racener's king kicker keeps him ahead. The paired board presents chop pot possibilities.
Racener chewing away, hoping the board stays clean for him.
Turn card. Oh, is the king! Racener with the pair of kings ends the hand and doubles up.
Apparently, if you chew hard enough, good things happen.
Patrick Antonius in Grinder's cheering section. They don't like that one bit. John Racener alive and doubles to almost $27 million. The Grinder losing a chunk of his chips. He's now in second place. Joseph Cheong is the top dog once again. As for Racener, he's still the short stack, but one of only 5 men still jawing for the main event title.
As always, Racener working the gum.
One night, after the dinner break, I just threw a piece of gum in my mouth. And around day 6 or 7, that's when I went on a huge chip run.
Welcome John Racener to the top of the leaderboard.
I'm very superstitious, so I noticed like chewing gum is helping me with the tells and my breathing, and I'm running over the tables.
The Racener's running so good, maybe it is the chewing gum.
What's funny is that I would always chew the same 2 pieces the whole day. It might sound disgusting, but that's what I would do. Every morning I wake up, put 2 pieces double bubble in my mouth, chew it all day. That's how you get to the final 9.
And Racener said he grabbed a handful of double bubble from his counter at home before he left to come to the November 9.
Action on Michael Mizrachi, second in chips, 8 deuce off. And he'll fold to Racener. Ace queen of spades.
He's the anti-Oprah. She's afraid of chewing gum. He embraces it.
And from under the gun +1, a raise to $2.3 million. Candio folds. Now Joseph Cheong, king 5 from the small blind. And he'll fold that. Duhamel in the big. Ace king.
The adrenaline junkie has kept a tight lid on his game tonight, pretty much only playing premium hands.
Duhamel turns the screws and re-raises. Racener all in. Racener's family confident their boy will do the right thing.
Well, as we know, the right thing would be to fold, but Racener's got a big suited ace, 5-handed, and he's short stacked.
I call.
John does call all in, and he'll see his big ace has run into a bigger ace at the most critical time.
Indeed, John Racener is dominated and may be looking at his last hand of this main event.
Norman, I don't know how Racener could have gotten away from that big ace. Just unlucky Duhamel had the ace that trumps his ace.
Racener might not be chewing gum much longer.
Racener will have to deliver the bad beat to stick around. Duhamel with an opportunity here to grab this final table by the throat. Grinder a very interested spectator. His friend's tournament life on the line. The flop, queen 4-8. Racener flips the tables on the Canadian pro.
Duhamel can just shake his head in dismay. John Racener has life.
For the hockey playing Duhamel, that was like a cross check to the teeth. Racener now trying to hang on. Turn card jack. Racener still in front. Duhamel with a Broadway draw. As we have seen at this crazy main event final table, it ain't over till it's over. One card to come.
Racener's mom chewing on her fist. 4 out of 5 dentists surveyed agree that chewing on your fist may not influence the river card. Racener looking to dodge a king or a 10 to double up.
Can he pull off the upset? Yes, he can! John Racener secures the double up through Jonathan Duhamel.
I might have swallowed my gum on that one if I were him.
Duhamel absorbs that blow. He's now the short stack. And John Racener celebrates. He is now in 3rd place.
After his all-in call, Racener had to figure he was a goner, but he had luck on his side. And Duhamel has to be second-guessing himself. Maybe he should have taken his pack of Bubblicious off the counter this morning after all.
So we will continue 5-handed at the Penn and Teller Theater, where the fans have really been treated to some exciting poker tonight.
All 5 players left here guaranteed at least $2 million.
Queen 5 for Racener under the gun. He folds. Candio lays it down. Joseph Cheong likewise to Duhamel in the small blind.
Just took that big hit in the previous hand.
He has ace-9 off.
I don't know what Duhamel's tilt factor is, Lon, but if I'm him, I don't play this hand. Just walk away, take a brief respite.
But Duhamel will ignore your advice and make a raise to $2.5 million. Mizrachi in the big blind with pocket trays.
I'm all in.
And he re-raises Duhamel all in.
Well, he knows Duhamel just took the big hit and probably doesn't want to play another hand immediately.
So Duhamel with another big decision, maybe still steaming from that beat he took.
Well, I'd walk away. I wouldn't call here because you wouldn't want to be swept out of here in 2 straight hands.
He started the day as the dominating chip leader. Now he may put himself at risk.
It's like the old adage, it takes 15 years to grow a tree, just 15 minutes to chop it down. Duhamel's come too far and done too much to see it all gone in 2 hands.
Duhamel calls all in with his ace-9, and he'll have to come from behind in a race to beat the pocket pair. Duhamel's fans sense the importance of this moment, and it doesn't look like Lily's feeling too good about the small pocket pair.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
Yeah, both my suits.
It's a big moment for Grinder. He could lose half his stack here. While the one-time chip leader Duhamel looks like he's about to lose his mind.
So here we go with Duhamel, the former chip leader, at risk. And he pairs his 9.
Canada strikes back, and now the Mizrachi Nation is tottering.
Grinder was going for the kill, but now he's the one in trouble.
Yell on Grinder looking at becoming the short stack if he loses here.
The turn card now is another 9 for Duhamel. And Grinder's dream of sending Duhamel back to Canada heading further down the drain.
Same thing.
Grinder chit-chatting with his buddy Racener awaiting the river.
No side.
Come on, one time.
3.
3 from the heavens. Let's go.
Grinder looking for a 2-outer. Mizrachi has to have a 3 to send Jonathan Duhamel home.
The river card's a jack, and Duhamel's set of 9s will not only keep him around, but propel him back over $50 million.
Duhamel took on the Florida buddies. He got unlucky against one to become the short stack. On the very next hand, he got lucky against the other to survive.
The Canadian is still fighting in his shot for World Series history. Duhamel back in 2nd place. Grinder once the chip leader, now the short stack after losing half his chips.
Yes, sir.
And maybe his main event mojo. Meanwhile, the money is about to move. Nearly $9 million in $100 bills weighs close to 200 pounds. It will take 6 men and 12 bags to carry it to the Penn and Teller Theater, but only one man will get to take it home. Now it's time for Deal Me In, brought to you by FullTiltPoker.net. At the 2006 main event final table, Alan Cunningham had to dip into his well of poker knowledge when he got tangled up in a hand against future champion Jamie Gold.
I'm in the big blind. I have ace-jack, and Jamie Gold raises. Everyone's folded to me. I decided to play just a normal pot against him and called.
The flop, 8, 10, 9, a pair of 8s for Gold. Cunningham picks up a straight draw.
Now I check to him. It's sort of a normal play to check to an aggressive raiser. And now he checks.
Turn card. Another 8 for Jamie Gold.
Now I feel like betting is better than checking again because you want to make him come to the decision, especially if you're out of position.
Cunningham bets $1.1 million.
I raise
4 million.
Pretty much my only choices are to decide he's bluffing me and just move all the way in, or fold myself.
You can't be happy to see that raise from Jamie.
But with only a few people left at the final table, I wanted to be a little bit more careful.
And Cunningham will fold.
Good bet by Jamie, good read from Allen.
Bad things could happen if you're out of position in a big pot. So I think that's one big lesson for this hand.
Back inside the Penn & Teller Theater at the Rio, where Michael Mizrachi became the short stack after that huge loss to Duhamel. And it's only gotten worse. Let's take a look at the current chip count. And there's a big gap between the haves and have-nots. Joseph Cheong and Jonathan Duhamel well ahead, while Racener, Candio, and Mizrachi well behind.
And as usual, Lon, the haves don't want to give a penny to the have-nots.
Grinder has a bracelet, looking for number 2, while the other 4 are looking for their very first World Series bracelet. Back to action now on John Racener, currently 3rd in chips. He folds Queen 8. The blinds are up to $601.2 million and a 200,000 chip ante. Candio folds to Joseph Cheong. No thank you on Duhamel now with pocket aces.
When he started playing, he would watch and admire Daniel Negreanu on TV. This summer, Negreanu reached out to him and gave him some tips for the November 9.
Duhamel from the small blind just calls with the aces.
Actually, it's been a no limping zone here. Nobody's been limping into a pot here. Duhamel from the small blind hoping to trap Grinder.
Grinder with Queen 8 checks his option. Here's the flop, 5-4 Queen. Mizrachi hits top pair, but that's dangerously short of Duhamel's hidden aces.
And that is one dangerous flop then for Michael Mizrachi, Lon.
Duhamel continues trapping with the check. Grinder steps into it, bets $2 million.
Duhamel very confident. He expects to win for a guy who had never cashed at the World Series before this year. The main event is his 3rd time in the money at this World Series.
Duhamel with a handful of those oversized red, white, and blue chips. Everyone on both sides of the fence on pins and needles. Canadian Jonathan Duhamel check raises.
I'm all in.
Raise.
Wow!
Aces.
A snap all-in call. Duhamel does have aces. He's got Grinder.
Grinder is seeing his grasp on poker history slipping away. Lily left stunned and silenced.
The brothers Mizrachi facing the end once again. Grinder knows he was trapped by Duhamel.
He's coming right now. Hey, he's coming.
It's coming. Jack's.
Okay,
Everyone inside this packed Penn & Teller Theater on their feet, waiting for this turn and river.
And credit to Duhamel through ups and downs at this final table. He's played smart, conservative poker with the big stack. You can't blame Mizrachi for pushing on the flop with top pair. Grinder, though, now a 6-1 dog for his main event life.
Turn card is a jack, no help to Mizrachi. He'll need to find another miracle on the river to continue. Duhamel on the verge of the biggest knockout of this championship table.
The year of the Grinder. Can it continue beyond one more card?
Mama Grinder and family may be seeing the final river card of this World Series for Michael.
Mizrachi needs a queen or an 8, or his main event is over.
The river card is a king! Michael Mizrachi knocked out in 5th place. He earns over $2.3 million.
Mizrachi Palooza finally has fizzled out. Grinder's remarkable chase for history is over, and Frank Casella now stands alone as World Series Player of the Year.
A savvy play by Duhamel with the aces, and he has regained the chip lead with almost $92 million after knocking out the Grinder. And the Mizrachi saga that encompassed the whole World Series from the opening Players' Championship all the way to the final hours of the main event comes to a close. And as the Grinder gets a well-deserved ovation, 4 others will continue. These 4 men will play on. One of them will make history by becoming the 2010 World Series of Poker main event champion. The money is on the move. 12 bags filled with bricks of Benjamins on their way to the Penn & Teller Theater. Nearly $9 million waiting to be claimed by the new world champion. And inside, every single person in the room eagerly awaiting the arrival.
How about the money? $9 million.
And as As the guards enter the Penn and Teller Theater, the players and audience prepare for one of the most thrilling sights in poker, the arrival of the cash.
All on black.
The moment has arrived, and soon one of these final four will walk away with $9 million.
Lon, I haven't seen that much money on the table since I had that summer internship with the mob.
Who will lay claim to the cash? Can Filippo Candio bring Italy its first world champion? Or will it be one of the 24-year-olds, Florida's John Racener, California's Joseph Cheong? Or will Jonathan Duhamel bring Canada its first main event champion? Duhamel with 8-6 off. The chip leader will lay that down over to the second short stack, John Racener, with just over 28 million, King Trey. He folds to the short stack, Filippo Candio. He has 20 million.
All in.
Candio moves all in with King, Queen of Diamonds. That has the attention of his sister, Marta, to Joseph Cheong now. Ace Trey.
Can I get a count?
It's 19 million.
19
or
million?
18, I don't know.
Candio down to about 16 big blinds.
I call.
Joseph Cheong with that ace will be ahead in his bid to try to eliminate Filippo Candio.
The suited ace easily enough for Cheong to put Candio at risk. And maybe he's remembering back to day 8 when Candio hit runner straight to double through Joseph Cheong.
Candio's family's stay here in Las Vegas may be coming to an end. Joseph Cheong's parents looking for their son's hand to hold up.
Candio has been a whirling dervish at this main event. Right now, he is just humming and hoping.
Filippo Candio at risk. Here is the flop. And there's an ace for Joseph Cheong, putting the Italian pro in the deepest of holes.
Boy, if Candio were to suck out on his rival here again, maybe the mild-mannered Cheong will finally morph into the Incredible Hulk.
Filippo Candio needing help right away.
And no singing now from the singing Italian. He'll need runner again against Cheong to survive.
That's igual.
The turn card is a blank. That ends it. Candio drawing dead, eliminated by Joseph Cheong in 4th place.
Boy, he's been fun to watch. It's sad to see him go. I'm not going to lie. If I weren't already sleeping in our guest room, I'd ask Filippo to come live with me and my wife.
Filippo wins almost $3.1 million. He electrified the crowds and energized this main event with his honest exuberance. Cheong the chip leader again.
Arrivederci, mi amico.
Filippo's family and everyone here in the theater showing their appreciation for the run that Filippo Candio made here in the 2010 main event. We're down to 3. Let's look at the tail of the tape presented by the official WSOP game. Play now on Facebook. For 2/3 of the hands played at this final table, either Duhamel or Cheong has been the chip leader.
On the flip side, John Racener has been the short stack for 37 hands, but has still managed to secure at least a 3rd place finish. Who knows how far he can go?
Joseph Cheong with the knockout of Filippo Candio got us to our final 3 players. Action on Jonathan Duhamel, Ace-King. On the button, reaching for chips, as he loves to do, and a raise to $2.5 million. Over to the short stack, John Racener trying to negotiate these other 2 monster stacks, 10-4. Racener folds.
At the 1984 main event, when it got down to 3-handed, Jack Binion replaced some of the chips on the table with bundles of cash to see if it would induce more action. I don't think that's going to be a problem with these guys.
Joseph Cheong with Jack 5 of hearts makes the call from the big blind and will go heads up against the other big stack, Jonathan Duhamel. The flop 6-6-10. Duhamel still ahead with his ace-king. Cheong missed that flop. Joseph Cheong first to act. He checks.
It's a cat and mouse game, Lon, except everyone left here is a tiger.
Duhamel will test Cheong, bets $2 3/4 million.
Duhamel postures.
Now to Cheong. Joseph wants to raise it up to $6 3/4 million.
Cheong postures with shark's teeth.
Joseph's parents looking on anxiously, as is Jonathan's mom, Joanne.
Neither with a hand.
Duhamel needs $4 million to call, and that's what he does.
2 riverboat gamblers in the middle of the desert.
Turn card now is a 9 that misses both, keeping Duhamel marching towards another pot.
This is interesting, the two monster chip stacks, seeing which one will blink first.
Joseph Cheong has chips in hand, and now he bets $5.5 million.
Cheong bluffs at it again, and good news for him. Duhamel's also got squadouche, and really good news for John Racener. He sits idly by as the monster stacks try to destroy each other.
No kidding. Duhamel makes the call for $5.5 million.
Well, it's like the king said to Wesley at the end of The Princess Bride, I think you're bluffing.
River card is a king. Duhamel secures the check mark. He finally has something, a pair of kings.
Cheong's naked aggression has not bought him the pot. Will he go uber aggressive one more time?
Of course he will. $13.5 million.
Third time Cheong has fired at this pot with absolutely nothing. Duhamel's been a non-believer. Will this bet finally make Duhamel reconsider?
$13.5 million is what Duhamel needs to call down Joseph Cheong's bluff. The Canadian pro reaching for chips and makes the call.
You got it, John. I got Jack high.
And Duhamel will win that huge pot with his kings.
Duhamel tracked him down and got the insurance of pairing his king on the river. Cheong told us he can be spewy. He just spewed off nearly 30 million chips.
That's great news for Duhamel, who once again takes the chip lead, putting distance between himself, Cheong, and Racener. The Canadian fans love it, but it's still anyone's game at this three-handed championship table. And there is the only 2010 bracelet still left to be claimed. Just 3 men remaining in the main event. The two big stacks have been clashing often, with Cheong regaining a narrow lead over Duhamel as John Racener sits almost as a bystander with over 36 million chips. Back to action, there is Racener chewing the same gum he put in his mouth more than 200 hands ago. He'll fold the hand but keep the gum. Ace-7 offsuit for Cheong.
Cheong says players with sunglasses always intimidated him, so he wanted to do the same thing and got his own.
A raise to $2.9 million from Joseph Cheong. Now over to Jonathan Duhamel. Duhamel with 2 queens.
In the big blind. Duhamel mostly playing big cards tonight, not fooling around much.
And with those cards, he's been able to keep the pressure on his opponents. And here he goes again, a re-raise to $6.75 million. Jonathan's parents, Joanne and Luke, looking on very intently, as is Joseph's mom, Sun Hee. The two big stacks clashing again.
An ace is pretty good three-handed. Cheong can be aggressive with any 2 cards, and he's already shown, bluffing with that Jack-5, that he won't be tempered by the magnitude of the stage.
Cheong, chips in hand, a lot of chips, a re-raise to over $14 million.
A 4-bet. Duhamel says he loves when people play back at him. Well, here Cheong is playing back at him at a critical juncture on the biggest stage in poker.
And this biggest stage is very quiet, everyone realizing the gravity of this moment. Duhamel's fans have been on quite a ride tonight. What will Jonathan do? The French-Canadian re-pops it to almost $23 million.
Wow. He 5-bets it. The two big stacks again on a destructive path, and John Racener again out of harm's way.
Indeed, Norman. Racener happy to be sitting this out and watching what is happening between these two big stacks.
Well, to this point, Cheong does not believe Duhamel has a big hand. Will he believe now?
I'm all in.
He does not, Norman. Cheong re-raises Duhamel all in.
Oh, no.
We'll call.
And Duhamel makes the call. Duhamel in control. Joseph Cheong in severe danger of being left with only 5 big blinds.
176 million chips, the biggest pot in the history of the World Series of Poker. And on a night of river madness, this is pre-flop insanity. Joseph Cheong knows he has just misstepped at the most crucial moment of this championship table.
Oh, baby, oh!
Duhamel on the verge of a stranglehold on this final table. There's the Cheshire Cat, John Racener.
Racener can't believe what he's seeing. I can't believe what I'm seeing. Joseph Cheong in the midst of an epic blow-up.
And now the flop. Tray 9 deuce rainbow, nothing for Cheong as his hopes of winning this huge pot fade. Duhamel's family and entire cheering section can barely contain their emotions, waiting for this to play out.
The aggressive Cheong misread the strength of Duhamel's hand, and now Duhamel and John Racener could be huge beneficiaries.
The turn card is a 6. Duhamel still good. And Cheong will now need some of tonight's patented river magic. Joseph stands quietly by, and unbelievably, Racener is so close to being heads up.
Duhamel 1 card away from becoming the dominant chip leader. Cheong 1 card away from being decimated. He needs an ace and an ace only to knock out Jonathan Duhamel.
The river card is an 8, and there you go! Jonathan Duhamel, the overwhelming leader in the main event.
And it's all but over for the Southern Californian. It looks like a brutal finish to a beautiful main event for Joseph Cheong.
Joseph Cheong's dad surveys the carnage and knows the end is near for his son. Jonathan Duhamel somewhere in the middle of that mosh pit on the stage, being mobbed by his supporters.
And you've got a feel for the classy Joseph Cheong.
And how about John Racener? He can't believe his good fortune. He may soon be heads up with that man, Jonathan Duhamel. He has over 176 million chips. Cheong plummets from the big stack to almost 7 million. That's 5 big blinds. Racener in second place, but he'll have to make up a 140 million chip deficit. Duhamel in complete control, and Canada's first main event bracelet seems so close. Back at the Rio, where an incredulous John Racener stands to make $1.5 million without lifting a chip.
It's the American dream, Lon.
But it's been a nightmare for Joseph Cheong, who's already shipped more than 90% of his chips to Jonathan Duhamel. He's all in and 1 card from giving him the rest.
2 hands against Duhamel, 2 massive missteps, and Joseph Cheong is staring at third place. Only a queen, jack, or a 10 on the river will keep Cheong alive. If not, Duhamel will take a staggering chip advantage heads up against John Racener.
The river card is a 7, and Joseph Cheong has been knocked out of the main event in third place. And how about John Racener celebrating his surprise trip to heads up against Duhamel?
Cheong, a graceful presence at this main event till the end.
Joseph's play impressed a lot of people here.
I haven't seen Canadians this excited since Alex Trebek scored 14-20 on his SATs.
Cheong does not go home empty-handed. He'll leave with $4.1 million in his pocket. And now the moment has arrived. John Racener will go heads up for the bracelet against the overwhelming chip leader Jonathan Duhamel. At stake, $9 million and the title of champion. From a sea of 7,000, 9 emerged, and now just 2 remain. The overwhelming chip leader from Canada, the confident pro from the United States. Only one can be champion.
I want to win so bad. Always dream about winning the World Series main event. I won't let that slip away.
The next main event champion will be me. I'm thinking about nothing but number 1, and I guarantee you I will be number 1.
The next main event champion will be Jonathan Duhamel. I can guarantee you that.
After a reset, the heads-up battle is set to begin.
Good luck, John.
$9 million to the winner, either hoodies or chewing gum, about to become all the rage.
One of these men will join a very select group that includes Brunson, Helmuth, Cata, all of whom have joined several of the fallen November Niners who have stayed to witness history.
They could be talking about Racener's chips or his gum.
It's amazing Jonathan Duhamel is even here. You'll recall he was all in and behind several times during the main event, only to get lucky and survive. And now, with the bracelet and $9 million on the line, he holds an overwhelming lead heads up.
And it's the youngest heads up in main event history, 24-year-old John Racener and 23-year-old Jonathan Duhamel.
The blinds right now at 600,000 and 1.2 million. John Racener on the button with 4 deuce.
And he's only here because his ace-queen all-in survived against Duhamel's ace-king earlier at this final table.
He limps the button over to Duhamel. Jack 4.
This guy bungee jumped off the stratosphere. You think you want to sit across from him at a poker table?
And he checks his option. The flop is trade Jack 9. Duhamel hits top pair. Racener a swing and a miss.
5 Canadians won bracelets this year. 5 Canadians won bracelets last year.
Duhamel sits on his jacks.
Gavin Smith told All In Magazine, winter in Canada is so cold, that's why Canadians are good at hockey, drinking, curling, poker, and sex.
Racener will see if he can take the hand right now, 1.4 million.
Jonathan Duhamel not going anywhere with top pair, heads up.
Does he want to raise? Nope, just a call.
And we saw him playing possum earlier against Michael Mizrachi, the hand he knocked Grinder out.
With each chip put in the pot, the blood pressure rises for everyone watching this heads-up battle in the Penn & Teller Theater. Turn cards a 4. Duhamel gets the check mark with jacks up. Racener also caught that 4, but his hand can't beat Duhamel's. And Duhamel checks again.
Slow plays his big hand, hoping to trap Racener.
Racener doesn't bite. And now the river card. The 10 of spades. That puts flush and straight possibilities out there. Duhamel checked his option, checked the flop and turn. But he's got chips now. 2.8 million.
Duhamel changing up, fires out with 2 pair.
Now Racener with a pair of 4s. His family looking on. And he raises to 6.9 million. He and his late father used to watch the World Series of Poker on TV together. His dad told John he was good enough to make it on the biggest stage, and here he is.
And right now the Florida pro bluffing at this pot, representing he hit a straight or a flush. Jonathan Duhamel with 2 pair.
A call.
Duhamel calls.
Pair of 4s.
Pair of 4s?
Pair of 4s are not good. Duhamel wins it with jacks up and puts a big hole in Racener's modest chip stack. That chant tells the story as Duhamel's grip on this championship tightens.
Racener now with only 9 big blinds remaining. He's down to some chewing gum, a couple of chips in a chair. And Duhamel, the youngest player at the youngest main event final table ever, on the verge of etching his name in poker history.
It was Jack Treetop Strauss who created World Series lore with his chip in a chair victory in '82. Can John Racener write his own main event miracle story? Jonathan Duhamel with ace-jack.
All in.
And he raises Racener all in with the big ace. Duhamel's mom, Joanne, has to be a nervous wreck. All right, let's see what John Racener has. King 8 of diamonds.
Racener in the toughest of spots. Very little wiggle room.
Racener's mom and sister waiting for this critical decision.
I think he's got to risk it with the suited king. And the longer he takes, the better Duhamel feels about his ace.
I call.
John Racener makes the call. And he'll see his suited king is behind. The Racener camp pinning their hopes on the king 8. Duhamel with ace-jack ahead right now.
And we could be on the brink of history. Jonathan Duhamel poised to become the first Canadian to win the World Series main event. Racener chewing his gum to the last, even though his main event bubble is nearly burst.
All right, now the flop with John Racener at risk. The flop is 4, 4, 9, 1 diamond. Duhamel still good with his ace-jack.
All Racener can do is chew and hope.
Everyone on their feet here. We may be 2 cards from crowning a champion.
Canadian Tuan Lam finished second in the 2007 main event. Jonathan Duhamel closing in on first place here.
And now the turn card, 6 of clubs, no help for Racener. Jonathan Duhamel, a river card from World Series history. Both camps summoning all powers to bring their desired card. Duhamel came from behind so many times to stay alive in this main event. Now he just needs to stay ahead to take this title.
If Jonathan Duhamel can dodge a king or an 8, the main event bracelet is his.
And now the river card, it's a 5! Duhamel is the world champion. And with a final pop of his gum, Racener is left to think about what could have been.
The adrenaline junkie gets the ultimate adrenaline rush. Canada has its first poker world champion. From British Columbia to Nova Scotia, all of Canada can celebrate its new favorite son.
And for John Racener, second place is worth $5.5 million.
Good day.
For Jonathan Duhamel, the celebration is getting started. He just won $9 million. Don't go anywhere. When we return, we will hear from the new champion as he is presented with the most coveted prize in poker.
Series of Poker presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Final table.
This was the scene just moments ago as the 2010 main event bracelet was engraved with the name of newly crowned champion Jonathan Duhamel. And here's the scene inside the Penn & Teller Theater right now, as what seems like all of Canada is celebrating. What a moment for Duhamel. Family, friends, and countrymen serenading the newly minted champion. And 09 champ Joe Cata is on hand, along with tournament director Jack Effel, to present the bracelet.
Congratulations, Mr. World Champion.
The confetti flies in honor of Canada's first and poker's newest main event champion, 23-year-old Jonathan Duhamel.
Confetti? We didn't have confetti at Binion's. Lon, I'm going to be picking this out of my mustache for weeks.
And now the new and deserving champion will say a few words to the crowd.
Oh, and I just want to say thank you to everybody for being here. It's just been an amazing tournament, an amazing run. It's like the most beautiful day of my life by far. So thank you. Hey, come join the party. It's going to be a great night tonight.
A 23-year-old adrenaline freak with $9 million. He ain't bluffing.
A great night capping off a terrific main event and a tremendous World Series. They came for the biggest night in poker, and what an exciting final table it was. With well over 20 lead changes and some sad goodbyes, no one was immune to the huge swings of momentum. For Michael Mizrachi and all the November Niners, the fairy tale ending was not to be, save for one. It was a magical journey for Jonathan Duhamel. This adrenaline junkie's main event run to November was a high-wire act. No, it's an 8!
I have chips.
At the final table, his thrill ride continued.
Come on.
And in the end, his place in poker history would not be denied. Congratulations to Jonathan Duhamel, the 2010 World Series of Poker main event champion. For Norman Chat, I'm Lon McCarran. Thanks for watching another amazing season of the World Series of Poker.